Welcome everyone. This is an intro video to demonstrate how easy it is to create optimized lineups with OptiLine for both FanDuel and DraftKIngs daily fantasy systems utilizing various projection sources. OptiLine uses a powerful mathematical solver to quickly crank through thousands of combinations to deliver the optimal lineup based on player salaries and projections for the week. When the app first starts up, it will automatically create the optimized lineup for the currently saved settings. By default, it will optimize for FanDuel with OptiLine projections. At the beginning of the week, only OptiLine projections will be available until the other third-party projection sources such as CBS Sports, Yahoo Sports, and others become available. When that occurs, you will receive a push notification notifying you that you can use the new projection sources in your optimizations. At the top of the screen is the information area that displays everything about the optimized lineup below. Here we see that this optimized lineup is for Week 4. It's for the FanDuel Sunday 1 p.m. main game slate and utilizes CBS Sports projections. Under that is the lineup name for this optimization, which defaulted to Optimal FanDuel CBS Sports Lineup. Below that, we can see that this lineup used all of the FanDuel $60,000 budget since the salary remaining is zero, and that this optimized lineup is projected to score 123 points. Looking at the player lineup from left to right, we see the player's position, their name, their opponent's rank or ORC, their projected points for the selected projection source, in this case CBS Sports, and their salary, and in this case their FanDuel salary. Sometimes you'll like the optimized lineup exactly like it is and just save it. Other times you want to tweak it up a bit. In this particular case, I really like most of the lineup, but for demonstration purposes, I'm going to look to see what other wide receiver options are available instead of Kelvin Benjamin. So to do this, you can either swipe from right to left on Kelvin and tap on Swap, or just simply tap on Kelvin. Notice at the top that Kelvin's salary was given back and his projected points were deducted so that the money can be used to shop for a replacement wide receiver. If you decided you didn't like anything you saw, you could just tap on the back arrow on the top left of the screen at this point. I'll do that now. This cancels the player swap and reverts back the original player's salary and points. But let's go back in and take a closer look around at the wide receivers. I'll tap on Kelvin again. Like the FanDuel and DraftKIngs site, the list is sorted from highest to lowest salary. If you ever see that the salary is red, it means you currently do not have enough budget left to afford the player. You can still pick them, but your salary remaining will go negative, and you will have to make further player adjustments to make your lineup valid, or let the optimizer balance things out the next time you do an optimization. At this point, if you already know who you're interested in, tap on the Search for Player entry box and start typing in their name. Or you can scroll through the players to check out matchups, opponent ranks, and other metrics. One receiver I'm particularly interested in this week is Emmanuel Sanders going up against a lousy Buccaneers secondary. I've scrolled down to Sanders. At this point, we can see who he is playing against, what his opponent's rank is against wide receivers. Here we see it's 31, which is next to last, indicating a very favorable matchup. We can also see his projected points, salary, and dollar cost per projected point. But before I go ahead and lock Sanders in, I'm going to tell you more about two very important metrics OptiLine surfaces. These metrics are the opponent's rank, or ORC, and their dollar cost per projected point. Let's start with the opponent's rank, or ORC. One of the key metrics to a player's success is what defense they are playing against, but not just the defense as a whole, but rather more specifically, how does the defense match up against the player's position? Some defenses have a good run defense, but a poor pass defense, and vice versa. Some defenses stink all around. The ORC gives you the defensive team's ranking to date against the position, which is based on stats that have accumulated in previous games. The rank will be from 1, the best defense, to 32, the worst defense, since there are 32 teams in the NFL. If the player's ORC is in the top 20%, the ORC will be highlighted in red, indicating an unfavorable matchup for the player. A ranking in the bottom 20% will result in the ORC being highlighted in green, indicating a favorable matchup. You can sort on both the ORC and dollars per projected point columns. I'll now tap on the ORC column header, which will show the wide receivers with the toughest matchups on top. And tapping again on the OR column header shows the wide receivers with the best matchups on top. Note that all wide receivers for a particular team will show up together even if they are backups. Tapping on the OR column header once more will remove the sort order. This metric becomes more meaningful as the season progresses, since it takes some time to really understand if there is truly a flaw in the defense at a particular position, or did they just go up against a few offensive juggernauts, or was there some key defensive player that was out a few games. Next, I will sort on the dollar cost per projected point column by tapping on its column header. This metric is derived simply by taking the player's salary and dividing by their projected points. This is useful in quickly identifying players who have the best bang for the buck, or are a value play. Here, we see Emmanuel Sanders actually has the best dollar cost per projected point, costing just $500 per projected point. So not only does he have a great matchup, he is also a great value. I definitely like that. Notice how the dollar cost per projected point increases as we scroll down through the list. Okay, I want to go back to the player list being sorted based on salary, so I'll tap on the salary column header twice so the best players will be at the top. One other thing I wanted to mention about the players page is that if you see an icon to the left of a player's name, you can swipe on the players row from right to left to get more information about their status. I'll do that now on Des Bryant. And we can see that Des Bryant is questionable with a knee issue. Oftentimes, I may really like a player's matchup for the week, but if I see they are dealing with a possible serious injury, I'll usually steer clear of them. Okay, let's get back to selecting Emmanuel Sanders. This time, I'll search for Sanders by typing his name into the Search for Player entry box. And there's Emmanuel again. Now I'll tap on him to select him. And now we see Sanders has been added to the main lineup. A couple things to note here. First, you can see that the lock next to Sanders' name has been activated. This indicates to the optimizer that Sanders must be a part of the optimal lineup that is generated. And second, we have $800 in remaining salary since Sanders had a lower salary than Kelvin Benjamin. At this point, we can just save the lineup like it is, even with the surplus in salary, or we could let OptiLine try to put the extra money to work. If we tap on Optimize Now, you can see that OptiLine swapped out Stafford for Rivers, Dwayne Washington for Mark Ingram, and Antonio Brown for Kelvin Benjamin, using all of their remaining salary. This lineup looks good, but say you didn't want OptiLine to swap out Stafford. Well, you would have to manually lock him in before you optimize then. Let me demonstrate that now. First, I will tap on the Reset button to clear the lineup. And then tap on the Optimize button to get the base CBS Sports optimized lineup back. Now, let's swap out Kelvin Benjamin for Sanders as we did before by tapping on Kelvin. And then select Sanders again. Now this time, we will also manually lock Stafford by swiping on him from left to right and then tapping on Lock. You would do this for any players you wanted to make sure made it into the optimized lineup. I'll lock in Stafford now. And when we optimize again, we see that Washington was still upgraded to Ingram and Antonio Brown was swapped for Kelvin Benjamin, but Stafford now remains in the optimal lineup with $200 to spare. I feel good about this lineup now, so I'm going to go ahead and save it to My Lineups by tapping on the Save button. I'll name the lineup Optimal Lineup 1 and tap on OK to save it. We'll get a message back showing that the lineup was successfully saved to My Lineups. To retrieve that lineup, simply tap on the More button followed by My Lineups. And there's Optimal Lineup 1 we just saved. Swiping on it from right to left will allow you to delete a lineup by tapping on Delete or retrieve it by tapping on Select. And there it is. Notice the lineup name at the top now reflects Optimal Lineup 1. Okay, For the last part of this video, I want to show you how you can quickly change between projection sources used in your optimizations. To do this, I'll change the projection source to NFL.com and switch to the FanDuel Sunday 9:30 a.m. game slate. First, I'll tap on the Settings button and then tap on the projection source picker to change it to NFL.com. Next, I'll tap on the game slate picker to change it to the Sunday 9:30 a.m. game slate. I'll tap on the back arrow at the top left to save the settings, and then tap on the Optimize button. And there's the Optimize NFL.com lineup. Notice that the top informational area now reflects that NFL.com projections were used. To switch to optimizing for DraftKings, simply tap on Settings and then tap on the Daily Fantasy System picker and select DraftKings. And then tap on the back arrow to save the settings, and then re-optimize. And there's the DraftKings NFL.com optimized lineup. And how about checking out the number for our optimized lineup? And there it is. Note the red badge at the top right of the Optimize button. This is your token balance. Each optimization uses one token. I currently have a token balance of 82 now. And if I switch the projection source to Yahoo Sports and re-optimize, I'm charged a token and my new token balance is 81. So you can see how easy it is to switch between different projection sources and optimize, which oftentimes surfaces valuable player ideas for you. Some of you will feel more comfortable with specific projection sources based on your history with them. Alright, that's it for the OptiLine overview video. Also be sure to check out the other tutorial videos to get the most out of the app, and submit any feedback or questions you have in the More section of the app. Good luck!